UPS man notices note on package, helps mother and kid escape nightmare.
But before we start, please take a moment to give this video a like, subscribe to Happy World, and hit the bell so you'll never miss these great stories.
When one UPS driver went to pick up a package from a house, he saw a strange note attached to the item. While he could have simply dismissed it as foul play, he acted fast. What this driver eventually did was save a mother and an innocent toddler from an unforgettable experience. Sometimes it's surprising how love can easily turn to hate and how trust slips into betrayal. It's hard to comprehend why someone who once claimed they loved a person can eat up all those words, promises, and even go as far as inflicting physical pain on them. This is why when I came across this story about what one man, James Jordan, did to his family he once loved deeply, I was itching to share it with you. Perhaps this story would have ended in terror if it were not for the observant UPS driver. On the morning of the tragedy, a woman and her son could have never guessed what was coming their way. It all started with a man grabbing his 3-year-old son roughly by the hands. Then he pulled him into the room and locked him up there without food and water. Such a sight broke his mother's spirit and she pleaded for leniency. But this man's heart was very hardened, so her cries fell on deaf ears. When the man was done with the boy, he showed a devilish glance at his mother and she knew she was next. But what she couldn't have suspected was the level of pain he was just about to subject her to. Once again, he pulled the woman into the room. There are almost no words to describe the physical and mental abuse she had to endure in that room that day. From when the toddler crouched, quivering from fear, he heard all sorts of noises, gasps, and cries as his father inflicted unimaginable pain onto his mother, holding her captive in their home near Robertsville. Being a very calculated man, he knew his game would be over if the woman got a chance to contact the outside world, so he took her phone from her. Despite being pushed into such a tight spot, the woman knew she had to save herself and her son. She knew the only way out was to flee the house, but her husband was smarter than she'd given him credit for that moment, so he could tell what was in her head, and he watched her from the corner of his eyes. The moment she made her first move, he trailed her carefully. When she was close to escaping, he caught her, grabbed her hair, and pulled her back into the house. What the man did next made her feel like she was trapped in the scenes of a scary movie. The man brought out a pistol, and that moment escalated quickly into a life-threatening situation for the woman and her son. Now she was certain that the man had totally lost it, and she knew she was skating on thin ice. She had to act fast. Finally, an idea struck, but for it to work, she needed someone from the outside with no phone. There was no way she could even contact anybody, so all she could do was sit, heave panic, and wait for a miracle from heaven. Well, that miracle came in the form of a UPS delivery man who came to pick up a package in the home. The woman knew this was the only opportunity she had to inform the police of her predicament, so she did something thoughtful and hoped it would work out as planned. Before going to give the package to the man, she scrolled "Contact 911" on the side of the box. As she walked to deliver the package to the man, her husband watched her closely. He also held a gun with him, so there was no way she could even say anything suspicious to the man. She walked casually to the door and even greeted the man cheerfully. Then she handed the package over to him and hoped the universe would fight in her favor. Now the life of her and her son was dependent on this driver who didn't even know what lay ahead of him. After the door shut behind him and the UPS driver saw that the couple had gone in, he walked away while looking at the package randomly. That was until his eyes caught what the woman had written. When he saw it, he stopped in his tracks immediately. Although he wasn't sure if it was a prank or if the inscription had even been written there for a long time, he followed the instructions anyway. In the end, it wouldn't hurt to try, he thought, so he dialed 911. A SWAT team responded to the call immediately. When the woman heard the sounds of the sirens, she knew she and her son were free. In no time, the team burst into the house, freeing the woman and her son and taking the man away in cuffs. Eventually, Jordan was taken into custody, held on a $100,000 bond, facing charges of domestic assault, felonious restraint, and other serious criminal charges. Afterwards, the unnamed UPS driver was credited with saving the lives of the woman and her son. Often, a driver would just collect a package without paying enough attention to it, but this man was observant, and 2 people are alive because of his actions. Just like this man was quite observant during his duty, one nanny also went beyond the call of her duty and rescued a wife from a nightmare. You need to see what she did for yourself. Trust me, these days one would need a little extra skin to put one's child in the hands of a total stranger. But when you think about the taxes, rents, and bills that need to be paid, one can't afford to stay indoors for so long to take care of the kids. so a nanny comes in handy. Like many other couples out there, Mr. and Mrs. Lai also started having trouble shuffling work and raising their 3-year-old son, so they started a search for a nanny. Needless to say, they didn't just want a babysitter, but someone who could also keep him safe. After a long search, they finally found one woman, Jennifer Baker. Something about her aura made the couple think she was competent and reliable, so they hoped they wouldn't regret their decision. But not even in their wildest imagination could they have envisaged what this woman would do when their son ran into a scary situation. And it happened one summer in 2017. That day, Jenna went out with her toddler to get some groceries in town. Although there had been no cause for alarm when they left the house that day, it was an entirely different case the moment they returned. When Jenna opened the front door, she quickly sensed some kind of danger. Perhaps it wasn't Nanny's instinct or just plain fear. Whatever it was, she knew she had to protect the toddler, who was only a few seconds away from danger. But just before she could plan her next move, the little boy stormed off from where he'd been standing behind her and bolted into the house. Knowing something wasn't right, she pleaded with the little boy to get out as fast as he could, but perhaps it was almost too late. The next thing she heard scared her out of her wits. Out of the blue, she heard pounding footsteps walking down the stairs. Jenna knew the boy's parents weren't home, so she was certain there was an intruder inside the house. Not sure what he could be up to or holding, she knew she had to save the boy. Terrified but dauntless, the brave nanny ran into the house, grabbed the boy, ran out with him, and slammed the front door. Then she ran into a neighbor's house. On getting there, she called the police and anxiously waited for their arrival. Although she wasn't sure what transpired in the house, a hidden camera in the home soon revealed shocking details. When the police arrived, thanks to the CCTV Jonathan Lai had installed, it revealed everything the intruder did. With the help of the footage, the family learned the burglar had gained entry into the house by shattering the back door's window. While there, he ransacked the couple's belongings. He even went into the toddler's room and took away his valuables. They also found something very unsubtle. All the while the intruder was in the house, he didn't seem to work alone as he was on his cell phone, although the police responded to Jenna's call and went after the intruder. Unfortunately, they couldn't catch him, but they had an appropriate description of him from the CCTV footage. And as for Jenna, the possibility of what could have happened had she come face to face with the intruder still terrifies her. No one knows what he could have done, but despite the scary incident, Jenna loves her job very much and she continued to care for the boy. This incident even brought the duo closer. The Lais are also very grateful to the babysitter, whom they now call Super Nanny, for saving the little boy. Not everyone would have been as selfless as she was. Some could have run away and saved themselves. Sometimes, heroes don't wear capes. They wear a UPS cap or just their own clothes as they're a nanny.